First episode of the Please Bet on Football Games podcast 2024 season. I am your host, Alex, here with the on-air talent, Joe. Joe, how's it going today?
We're back. We did it. Our long national nightmare is over. We've got football.
I'm so fucking happy.
I know, and usually week one, it's, the lines have all summer to shape up and you're a little scared and, I can only find a few picks I like. Dude, there are like 13 plays I like. I'm so ready.
That scares the shit out of me.
Not 13 plays, 13 units, but yeah, like
Okay.
like 8 plays.
That's a lot, especially because week one's sloppy.
Week one's sloppy, but there's no better time to exploit all the changes that have occurred over the offseason. And we have a year where a lot of change has occurred. And historically, the more shit changes, we have not gotten 2 minutes into the new season. And I have already blundered the no swearing for the first 5 minutes rule.
I already did it, so.
Oh, cool. Anyway, the more things changes, I'm really fucking up. It's preseason. It's not preseason. The more things change, the more leverage we have. There's a lot of change, a lot of new quarterbacks, a lot of new coaches. I think we've got as good a chance as any week in week one.
All right. Well, let's talk about it then.
Let's fucking talk about it then.
And first up in the 2024 season, we have the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs playing in Kansas City. The Chiefs are a -3 favorite.
All right. Historically, I have a terrible track record of loving the first game of week one and then losing it in frustrating fashion every single time. And I'm fucking doing it again. One of my favorite bets every single year is the Chiefs over the Ravens because Lamar Jackson can win as many MVPs as he wants, and the Ravens will win many regular season games. But when push comes to shove, by which I mean when the Ravens play a team with a legitimately good offense, Lamar just can't throw well enough to keep them in these games. And the Ravens defense, good as it may be, A, I think will take a step back this year, as we discussed in our season preview, and B, it's not going to hold these Chiefs to under, 24?
Yeah, probably. I feel like that's a good number for them. And I think the bigger issue is that I feel like Kansas City can get out in front of them because they have Andy Reid game planning for week one. He's been able to think about it for the entire offseason, well, after the parade. But I feel like they're going to score early, which puts Lamar at an even worse position because we know that they struggle and they can't just like set stuff up with the run and really confuse the other defense. When they have to rely on passing, it gets a lot worse for them. On top of Kansas City's probably just a better team anyway. But how about we talk about Kansas City offense, Chiefs, and Baltimore defense? Yeah,
so Baltimore lost Jadeveon Clowney, and he was really good last year. Again, like he's still, at least last year, was Jadeveon Clowney going to blow up your run game, going to give you a lot of pressure, just not the best at converting pressure into sacks. Additionally, they lost, I don't think he's good, but like they did lose Patrick Queen. Perception's reality. They're not going to think that they have 2 stud inside linebackers, so they might call plays a little different. They lost their genius defensive coordinator, and while I'm sure that Baltimore's pipeline is full, we're gonna have to find out. There's some risk there in losing Mike McDonald. And then finally, we love Marlon Humphrey. Like he's been great for a long time, but he's like 28, 20. Yeah, he's 28. Boom, nailed it. He's 28, so he's getting up there. Last year was his worst year according to PFF, and 28's about when you start to see things slip, especially because Humphrey was never the fastest corner, and he's facing arguably the fastest wide receiving core.
Yeah, and he's just gotten injured so much that I think it's catching up to him quicker.
Exactly.
And that's why I think he maybe had a worse year last year. I mean, he's still very good.
Yes.
But I do agree that it's kind of a bad matchup because there's so much speed with Kansas City.
Like in Marlon Humphrey's heyday, like in his prime, whenever that we want to say that was, the way you beat him was just with speed because he was so smart and so physical, and frankly, he holds so often that you can't body him. You can't be crafty with him. You kind of just have to not let him touch you. He's 28. We established that's like the end of peak season for corners. And B, he's missed a lot of time due to injury, not just So he's not a young 28 by any means. He also went to Alabama. Those guys fall apart early for some reason. It's definitely not the steroids they do down at Alabama. Definitely not. But we're going to get a weaker version of an elite corner who will not be sufficient to lock up a Rashee Rice, who plays in the slot anyway and is kind of insulated from that. He's not going to be able to run with an Xavier Worthy, or I know Hollywood Brown is out, which sucks because I think he's going to torch the league this year. But, I mean, Justin Watson's a fast-ass white boy. That's a 4'3" white boy. On the other side, they have Brandon Stevens, who I think is like the epitome of the average corner. So the secondary is going to be different. It's not going to be as strong as we maybe remember it. I also don't think Kyle Hamilton matches up well with Rashee Rice at all one-on-one, so it's going to be a lot of zone. And you know who loves zone? Andy Reid. They're just going to pick it apart with dinks and dunks. So it's not a hot take to say that I think that the Chiefs are probably the best team in the league and the Ravens can't hang. Because what I just described is at least 28 points from the Chiefs.
Numbers going up. I mean, I think it might be a little bit of a hot take to say the Ravens can't hang. I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think the Chiefs they match up well on offense. You have the Andy Reid advantage. And again, I'm sure the Ravens are running damn near the same defense.
Yeah.
But it's still a different guy calling the plays.
It's a slight derivation.
So there's a little bit of uncertainty with that, whereas you know that Reed's going to come out with an incredible game plan. I do worry a little bit about some of the Super Bowl hangover, but...
especially off a repeat, it's got to be a little tough to care.
Right, it's got to compound.
But the reason that these guys are so freaking good is because they don't look at it the way we do. They're just as excited for week one as we are.
Mm-hmm.
They've already put last year out of their head. And... the Chiefs are attempting to become the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They're playing last year's MVP. Perception is reality. Lamar Jackson won the MVP, baby. You got to show out against the studs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Thursday night game. It's the first game of the year. There's going to be motivation. Just still, you always worry that maybe they took an extra month off in the offseason.
Well, also, if you look at it, so much of their offense is unproven. Like, Rashee Rice is not unproven, but if there's any justice in this world, it's his last year playing professional football or seeing fresh air. Xavier Worthy's a rookie. He's excited as all hell. He's going to ball out as much as he can. Justin Watson has never started before. He's always been a bridesmaid, never a bride. This is his chance to show that he can legitimately have a starter's career in this league. This is a life-changing moment for at least 2 of these receivers. Yeah, I expect Travis Kelce won't care anymore. I would be shocked if Travis Kelce cared anymore. It would be dumb for Travis Kelce to care anymore. That man is one knee away from $1 billion. But
yeah, I think he just signed like $100 million contract for the podcast too.
No, I'd like to see some guaranteed money on that. But he doesn't need money. He's old. He doesn't need fame. He doesn't need rings. Everybody knows he's one of the top 3 tight ends of all time, and for my money, the best. It would be hard for Travis Kelce to give a fuck, and that's okay. Because I don't think that they need him as much this year as they may have last year. And as much as I love him, Kadarius Toney's not there to piss Patrick Mahomes off constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Other side of the ball?
Yeah, let's see the other side.
So the Ravens' offensive line is brand spanking new. And while I like all of it. While I like all of their offensive line, it is brand spanking new in week 1 against a very complex and confusing Chiefs defense.
We did kind of miss talking about the Chiefs having a new left tackle, and
can't be worse than Donovan Smith.
That's fair.
Donovan Smith, terrible. Jawan Taylor, bad right tackle. But the one thing it's because he can't move. And the Ravens don't speed rush, so it's actually fine. They'll run right into him, and he's a big, strong, heavy man, and he will be able to thwart most bull rushes, and that's fine.
Cool. I just wanted to address it.
No, it's something that somebody could pick on, and I actually think plays into our hand. Like, people would see rookie left tackle, and I'd say, yeah, it's better, even though it sounds like it's a scary thing. And, you would say, Jawan Taylor still sucks, and I would say, the Ravens don't pass rush the way that he sucks. They run into you, and they push through you because they want to control gaps and stop the run first.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I worry a little bit about left tackle just because he is a rookie playing a complex Ravens defense that throws a lot of weird blitzes and stuff at you.
Yes, but he went to BYU, so he's clearly a genius and disciplined.
Yeah, and he's probably 27, so he's mature.
It's actually the opposite. He's like 20 and barely knows how to play football.
How? He hasn't even gone on his mission yet.
He's a freak athlete. I think BYU is getting a little post-God over there.
I think you actually go on mission when you're 18, so he may have gone on mission. But...
They found YouTube videos, and all of a sudden they're willing to bend some rules. I think he was a transfer too. Regardless, the Ravens' offensive line is brand spanking. So you've got Linderbaum, awesome center, holdover. You've got Ronnie Stanley. PFF says he wasn't as good last year. I disagree. He's still really good. The rest of the line is green. You've got Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, who I like, but he's a rookie, and like I don't think he's going to be a stud, but I think he'll be good one day. I don't know if it'll be today. Offensive line is like the most development heavy position in football. Like technique is everything, and you don't really learn technique until you get in the NFL. Daniel Fa'alele, a guy I have loved for years. I think he's like 22 years old, and he's been in the league for 3 years already. He's 25, but the man is a giant. I like him as a tackle. We will see how he plays as a guard. It'll be a little weird, but because like most
Lamar's
of the time,
not tall.
Exactly. Lamar is only 6'2", and Fa'alele is like 6'8", and that would be a little odd and a little bit difficult. But Lamar doesn't pass from the pocket anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He's just there for running halfback dive, and they'll do that with Derrick Henry a lot.
Yes, they will.
Remind me to come back to that as another perception is reality. And then finally, they have I want to say it's Andrew Voorhees. It is Andrew Voorhees. Haha. He's gonna get his first starts in the NFL. I believe he's a second-year player. He went to USC. He tore his ACL or his Achilles or something during combine training and therefore didn't get drafted. But if this man was healthy, he would have been a first-round pick because he gave up one pressure, I think, all year, his last year at USC.
That's crazy.
No, he would have been like a real first-round pick. He was a seventh-round pick in 2023 because he just was hurt. They basically did the David Ojabo with him. I'm assuming that a 25-year-old man will bounce back from injury fairly quickly, or 24-year-old man, whatever. But there are 3 new question marks, and they're question marks I like, but question marks nonetheless on that offensive line. The Chiefs are funky on defense. Spagnuolo will make Steve Spagnuolo special. Most defensive coordinators, every defensive coordinator but Spagnuolo, has a thing they do. Like Fangio runs cover 4, and Staley just runs softer cover 4, and Salo runs a lot of cover 3. Sean McDermott runs all cover 2, and then they kind of vary off of that base thing that they do. Spagnuolo plays defense. Like he just does fucking anything. They'll run a ton of man. They'll zero blitz. They'll run 2. They'll run 3 the next play. Doesn't matter. They just play defense, and they bring crazy blitzes off of that. They will shuffle their defensive line entirely because every single player 8 deep on that defensive line, with the one exception of Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the second-year guy out of Kansas State. I don't know.
Well done.
Everybody besides him is arguably a pass rushing defensive tackle who could also play defensive end. So they'll just throw those dudes in whatever fucking order they want, and that'll be confusing for the young, inexperienced offensive line. It also lets them bring funky blitzes. They love rushing Drew Tranquil, and who wouldn't? He's best as a blitzer. I can see Lamar getting very frustrated with his protection in this game. And then finally, the Chiefs did lose my boy Algerius, my favorite corner in the league. They still fucking have Trent McDuffie. He is really good and the perfect corner to guard a guy like Zay Flowers, who's not big, but is very fast and very precise as a route runner. McDuffie's not big, but he's very fast, very quick, great instincts, good ball skills. After that, it gets iffy. You've got Shamari Connor starting in the slot. I don't know shit about Shamari Connor. I'm sorry. On the other side, you got Josh Williams. I don't know too much about Josh Williams. The Chiefs have had a long history now of being sick at developing corners, whether it's the Algerius Sneeds of the world, whether it's, who's the guy in San Francisco that used to be a Chief? Number 1 corner in San Francisco. It'll come to me. It doesn't matter. They develop corners a lot. They also don't bust at corner. See Trent McDuffie. Over the top, the Chiefs will have Justin Reed and Brian Cook. Brian Cook and Justin Reed are basically the same kind of safety in that they're both smart, but not that athletic and not that great in coverage, but they're never burnt. Therefore, Nelson Aguilar won't be standing around waiting to catch a punt from Lamar. And Rashad Bateman, still to this point, hasn't really stood out as a special guy. He's a low-end wide receiver 2 at this point, and 5 years into his career, I think he is what he is.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a little bit of his profile was like he wasn't great at anything, but he was decent at everything. And
Yep.
I just don't know if that translates to the NFL, where you got to have something that you're elite at that you can beat people with. And I just don't think he has it. Plus, then he had all the injury stuff.
I mean, he's a reliable starting wide receiver, but you'd ideally like him to be your third guy, not your second.
Yeah.
But
Also, Charvarius Ward.
Charvarius Ward, another converted safety, just like Algerius Sneed. So overall, you've got a questionable secondary with reason to be optimistic versus a questionable wide receiver core with reason to be optimistic. And you've got a stud receiver in Flowers versus a stud corner in McDuffie. It should even out. Then you've got Mark Andrews at tight end. There is no answer for him except for Lamar forgetting that he's there, which happens, does. But when Mark Andrews is healthy, he's an elite tight end. He is in the running for best tight end in the league this year because I expect Kelsey to take a step back.
He's great. I mean, his issue, similar to some of the other guys we've talked about today, is he just can't really stay healthy.
Yeah. That leaves us with the 1-2 duo who this entire offense is going to run through. And when I say run, I mean it literally. Lamar and Derrick Henry. You couldn't have more hype in one backfield, and you couldn't deserve it too much less. Derrick Henry is, 30? Yeah, just turned 30. And he's got more wear and tear than any other running back could possibly have. He's a bruiser who was never fast to begin with, and he's probably losing a step because he's 30.
And there were years where he was like 250 carries.
I think 400 touches a few years ago.
Yeah, where he's just running directly into the line.
like people who use numbers to predict injuries have been predicting that Derrick Henry is due for a catastrophic injury for 3 years in a row now. So either this man is actually made of the vibranium or something has to literally give.
Yeah, I think he
has to be a
Yeah, like he is special as an athlete, even by NFL standards, because the fact that he hasn't completely broken down already. Like he had that foot issue last year or the year before that kept him out for a while, but for the most part, like he's still been good despite all of those crazy years. But yeah, he's getting fucking old, and he's still just running directly into 300-pound men.
Well, the other thing is that I don't think Derrick Henry's nearly as good as his reputation. I think he's a Kobe, and I say that pejoratively. He's a volume shooter. Like Tennessee ran the ball to their own detriment under Vrabel, and Derrick Henry was the running back. But you look at last year, yeah, it was a bad offensive line. Anytime they gave the ball to Tajay Spears, it was much, much, much more efficient than when they gave it to old man Henry. And I think that we will continue to see Henry decline, and I expect a lot of volume out of him. I expect them to give him the ball all the time because they think he's a superstar, and I expect defenses to stack the box because they think he's a superstar. But I don't think he is a superstar, and I think that the production when they try to use him will be very low. The only issue is that because we know that perception is reality, we know that teams will probably bite on Henry every single time they run the read option, and then Lamar will run free. I'm hoping the Chiefs are smart enough to put 3 safeties on the field because they have big tackling safeties that can hang with Lamar, but we've seen teams play Lamar wrong for years now.
Yeah, when there is the playbook, because there are a few teams that always play him very well.
We've seen Brandon Staley, who invented how to dominate Lamar, not do his own shit, thus getting torched by Lamar. Something about him, the threat of his legs, breaks defensive coordinators' brains, and then they don't know what to do, and then they play him like a regular-ass quarterback, and he's not. So we have to account for the dumbness that is NFL defensive coordinators. I think that's why it's close, but I think that there is a better chance that the Chiefs blow Baltimore out than there is that Baltimore wins. And I think that the most likely outcome is a close 1-score Chiefs win.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, if you just look at, the matchups I think the Chiefs have an advantage offense to Baltimore defense that's larger than any advantage Baltimore's offense has over the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, like the Ravens' path to victory is we're going to run the ball so goddamn much and you can't stop it. Whereas the Chiefs' path to victory is we're going to throw 50 fucking points up on that board. And one of those is A, more reliable, and B, more explosive. So if the Ravens win, it'll be a close game. If the Ravens are in this game, it'll be a close game. If the Chiefs win this game, they have every opportunity to run away and win by a couple scores. That's all.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you talk about is if either team gets down or gets into pass situations, as there tend to be in the high pressure situation, that's what the Chiefs do all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas the Ravens, like, yeah, they still throw a lot, especially since they got Monken in, but they're a running team primarily. Yeah. And so I feel like they're worse set up for tight games.
Yep. Because when it comes down to the marrow, you have to pass, and Lamar can't. Yeah. And when's the last time we saw Lamar try to pass and fail fucking miserably? Last time the Ravens played, which was last time these two teams played, when the Chiefs dominated.
Yeah. And I don't think either team is significantly different enough. Like, I think both got a little bit worse, but I still think the Chiefs are better. So that's why I like that. Ching. Nice. So first bet of the year, first game of the year, Chiefs -3. All right.
Next game?
Next game.
We're off to Brazil.
Off to Brazil on a Friday. The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles are playing in a place where you're not allowed to go outside.
Well, if you do go outside, you can't bring your cell phone or wallet or wear clothes that are nice or represent your team. So what the fuck are these guys supposed to wear? Also, how are 6'6" black dudes supposed to walk around Brazil and not look like they play football in the big football game happening in town?
I think there are black people in Brazil.
Are they 6'6"?
Yeah, maybe not that look like Greek gods.
They're going to be like, oh, yeah, we got some black people. And they're going to be like, oh, my God, they keep on going up in the air. Brazil's a small people.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, which is why I think they're basically just telling them, don't go outside. You shouldn't leave your hotel room or any room that Big Dom is in.
Yeah, you wait here, and then you're going to play football in a few days. Speaking of football, this is an interesting game.
It is. The battle of quarterbacks that you think are some of the most overrated in the league.
Correct. Honestly, of the first 4 quarterbacks to play this season, all 4 are overrated in my book, and all 4 are pretty significantly overrated. Only one of them is good, which is Patrick Mahomes. Like, yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes is overrated. I still think he's sick. It's like both can be true. He's just not already the best quarterback of all time, nor do I think he ever will be. Regardless, this is another team. We're going to start with the Eagles on offense. This is another team where the offensive line is very, very different, but it's still probably good. So you still got the same tackles. Mailata, super stud. Lane Johnson, when healthy, very, very good. But he keeps getting older and he keeps getting more hurt. All that depth that the Eagles used to have, where like injuries just didn't matter, has kind of disappeared because those backups have turned into their entire interior offensive line. Dickerson's really good. He's proven to transition from center to guard very well. Cam Jurgens, jury's out. Last year, he was okay at guard, but he's a natural center. Jason Kelce picked him. He won't be Jason Kelce, but he could be good. And then Mekhi Becton, I think he sucks. And I think having a 7-foot-tall guard is a bad thing when your quarterback's trying to pass from the pocket. We already mentioned how it doesn't matter as much for the Ravens because Lamar's going to be outside the pocket. Despite the fact that Jalen Hurts is known for his athleticism, he isn't really that kind of scrambler, and he's really not that athletic, and he's low-key kind of small. It's like he's a running back. He's like built like a running back. He's 6'1", 230. So the offensive line will not be what it is thought of as, and the Packers defensive line is quietly getting kind of fucking good. Rashawn Gary's back healthy. Kenny Clark healthy. Preston Smith, the definition of a solid starter. And then God forbid Lucas Van Ness ever clicks. God forbid Devontae Wyatt ever clicks.
Yeah, and they got a new D coordinator, right?
Yeah, Halfley from BC.
Which is probably the biggest change and most important change because...
current ACC champion, Boston College.
There you go. Good plug. But because, what was that guy's name that just ran the cloud cover 3?
Joe Barry.
God
damn, he sucked.
And I feel like he did such an awful job of utilizing their talent. So I think even just by getting a new D coordinator, these guys are going to be better. Maybe not Rashawn Gary and some of the D line because that's a little different. But especially like like Eric Stokes.
Eric Stokes, I expect to have a huge year. If he doesn't, he just doesn't have it in him.
Yeah, but like that was a guy that they used exactly the wrong way.
Yeah.
But
It's like getting Derrick Henry and then making him catch 100 balls. It's like no. You don't draft the fastest, twitchiest cornerback who only knows man and is very dumb, and then make him exclusively play soft zone.
yeah. So I think the D line has gotten better, but I think the biggest aspect of this defense is going to be the DBs, just because of that reason.
Yep. But here's my issue. As much as I love Eric Stokes, and I do also love Jair Alexander, they're both smaller dudes.
They are.
And they're almost certainly going to match Jair Alexander up with AJ Brown. AJ Brown did all the trend. Jair did not do any trend.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown's just going to moss the dude. He's 2 inches, 3 inches taller, and he's probably 50 pounds heavier, and he's just going to body him and fucking get jump balls. And then on the other side, I love Eric Stokes. I love him. He's so damn fast. He's such a great mover. But Devontae Smith is super tricky and has awesome ball skills. Like, Devontae Smith doesn't beat you with speed, so you can't beat him back with speed, right? You need to be able to think with him. You need to be disciplined and not bite for all his fakes. And I think that's exactly Stokes' weakness. So whereas there might be an advantage for Green Bay in the trenches, I think there's a huge aerial advantage. And then God forbid Jahan Dotson actually pops in the slot, which I think is very feasible. Then he would just roast Keyshawn Nixon all day. Also, don't forget Dallas Goedert, healthy for now. And who's covering him? Is it going to be Quay Walker, who hasn't proven he can play in the NFL yet? Is it going to be Isaiah McDuffie, who shouldn't play in the NFL yet? Is it going to be Xavier McKinney, who's a linebacker coming down from free safety, and I don't believe he's very good? Is it going to be rookie Javon Bullard? None of those sound like great ways to stop a top 5 tight end when he's healthy. And he's healthy. So I think that each one of the Eagles' passing weapons is so perfect for attacking this Green Bay defense. And then the only fear I have, as somebody who kind of wants to bet on the Eagles in this game, is what if they get so obsessed with their shiny new toy in Saquon Barkley? But even if that's the case, they're such a good run scheming team with such a good offensive line. I don't think that'll bury them. I don't think it'll carry them, but I don't think it'll be like a death sentence.
Yeah, my worry is more Jalen Hurts, because I think the lines are going to kind of cancel out because they're both very good lines. Sometimes the Packers are going to win, sometimes the Eagles are going to win. I think the Eagles definitely have the advantage in the pass game, though.
Yeah.
So someone has to give them the ball. And so I think it'll just kind of come down to, can Jalen Hurts accurately throw the ball enough times to outscore what I think will, Green Bay will get into that side, but they're going to score points. They're not going to score a ton, but they'll score points.
I just kind of think that the irony of the whole thing is going to be, you might be better off playing against Jalen Hurts with those zones that make him sit and think than you would be playing man and letting him just say, fuck it, AJ Brown did trend. And they have the smallest number 1 corner in the NFL. So yes,
Joe Barry sitting in his living room like, yeah,
I knew it. I was right the whole time. And then we'll have 17 more weeks of Joe Barry not being right the whole time, because I expect the Packers defense to be much, much improved all year. Just this is a particularly bad matchup for them. The other thing is that I expect this game to be low scoring because of how both teams kind of want to play. And therefore, I expect 1 or 2 giant plays from AJ Brown to flip the game. We've seen it before where like AJ Brown will just turn a bad throw in the red zone into a touchdown, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's terribly frustrating to bet against. So on offense, because of how low I am on Hurts, slight lean to Philly, right?
Yeah,
fair.
I think that's fair.
Let's flip.
That's how I feel.
On the other side of the ball, the Packers are going to run. The Packers love to run. And how do you run against the Georgia 2022 defensive tackles? You've got Jordan Davis, who weighs 932 pounds, and you've got Jalen Carter, who flies through the line like a Lamborghini SUV down a country road at 1 a.m. That was one of my better ones.
That was clever.
Additionally, like Brandon Graham, a lot like Jadeveon Clowney, more pressures than sacks, can't really convert because he doesn't have bend, but he's stout against that run. And then you got Josh Sweat, more of an athlete than a pass rusher, but he's good against the run. Zach Bond, he's a run and chase him linebacker, but he's good against the run. And Devin White, he sucks at bad at everything. He sucks, but I'd rather have him trying to stop the run than to pass because he is so useless in coverage. This man man should be a defensive end. It's insane. Long story short, I think that the Eagles are going to be one of the best run stopping teams in the entire NFL. And I think that the Packers are going to want to run. That's Matt LaFleur's identity, but they downgraded at running back. I'm not high on Josh Jacobs. I don't think he does anything well. And I think that their offensive line, I don't want to say it took a step back because like David Bakhtiari never played, but I think, and like, I don't think that Runyon was that good, but they did lose 2 starters technically. And I don't see any studs on that line except for maybe Zach Tom.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gotten weaker. The line and the running back took slight steps back.
Yeah, so if you're going to be running the ball a lot and it's going to be low efficiency, now you're putting a lot of pressure on Jordan Love, and Jordan Love hasn't been good with lots of pressure on him. And I know what you're thinking, audience, but Jordan Love had that sick game he had so good stats against Dallas in the playoffs, so you got to be wrong. Let me explain. Jordan Love benefited a lot last year from A, playing some terrible defenses at the end of the year, and B, a very friendly offense. The Packers ran 72%, I think it was, motion. So like on 72% of their plays, they had motion. That's nuts. And what happens on motion plays, like the subtext of motion, yes, motion is nice because it gives you a tell. Is this man? Is this zone? Whatever. What's really nice about motion is that because you don't have time to sit and diagnose what the defense is doing and adjust what the offense is doing, almost every single time, if there is motion on a play, it is a 1 or 2 read designer play. It is a play where the coach has said, don't think, just do this. It's gonna work. Trust me. Look at Miami. Look at San Francisco. Look at Green Bay. Motion is not just getting your receiver off of a jam. It's not just getting a tell on what the defense is doing. It is also a signal to us as evaluators. There's something special going on this play that makes it easier on the quarterback. Additionally, the Packers ran a fuck ton of play action last year in the second half of the year. And Love was good at the play action, but Love was good at the play action because the run game was working and because teams respected it. And he just hucked the ball up. And how many times did we see him just throw the ball to a general spot on the field where Romeo Doubs was wide open in a busted coverage? That's not going to happen versus a Vic Fangio defense. It's cover 4, so there'll be dudes back there, and they're just more disciplined because they have a really great coach, a professional, great coach. So I don't think Jordan Love can carry the Packers, especially if the running game is inefficient. I like that they have Christian Watson back, but I don't think he's some kind of salve that fixes everything. I also think that the Eagles upgraded massively in the secondary this year. Yes, they have 2 rookie corners in Quinyon Mitchell and who's the white boy?
Wasn't it
Cooper DeJean? Cooper the John in French. I think that both of them will be better than Darius Slay and Ray Bradbury. Not Ray Bradbury, the author. James Bradbury. Yep. I went back to middle school. Yeah. Bradbury and Slay last year really took a step back. Bradbury more than Slay. I think Slay can still be a solid corner 2 in this league for about 1 more year. But now you've got Quinyon Mitchell coming in. Perfect scheme fit. Fast, long, good in zone, decent ball skills. You got Cooper DeJean. Quick, physical impress, perfect for the slot. I really like what he will be able to do in this defense. Look, Rodrigo Blankenship does suck. Quincy Gardner-Johnson is terrible, but the Eagles haven't had good safeties ever. Like this Eagles team in this era, this Hurts era, has just thrown bullshit at safety and linebacker and gotten away with it. And they're going to continue to do it.
I know that you meant Reed Blankenship, but I'm just liking to think of that 5'9" spectacled kicker.
Oh my God, with the goggles. Oh my God. Can you imagine him
playing
just
center field?
getting run over by Luke Musgrave? Oh, just waddling towards the ball in the air.
Like those videos and they have just some random person like compete against Olympic athletes in the 100-meter or whatever, and you're like, oh wow.
Rodrigo even wears his jersey untucked like he's just some fucking dude out of the stands. Like where he's got that Sebastian Janikowski flow, which is the absence thereof. Anyway, I think the Eagles defense will be a little better this year than it was last year. I think the Packers offense is coasting off of some vibes that they didn't really earn by ganging up on bad defenses and teams with backup quarterbacks last year, ceding them more possessions. I think that when push comes to shove and they play a real team like the Eagles, they're not going to have that fastball. This game can be simplified, and we're going long on the first 2 games because they're standalone and everybody's going to be very excited for the first 2 primetime games, and we'll truncate it as we go. But this game can be very easily summarized as, I know Jalen Hurts is mid. I know he will execute the scheme okay. I think Jordan Love is most likely below mid, which is the most millennial, or not millennial, Gen Z way of saying, this guy's not very good. And I know people are excited about him. I know he got the money, but I think it's all fake.
I'll be honest, I'm a little worried because even though I think the Packers will be worse in the run game, while the Eagles got better in the run game, play action still works even if you're not that good at running.
Very true.
And I agree with you that I like the corners the Eagles brought in, but it's still a lot of young corners.
Young corners can get tricked.
And so they're going to get moved around, and there's going to be all this trickery and play action and stuff. So I worry about that, especially because we know Jordan Love is fine with just like chucking it and hoping. But I think if you just look at matchups, who we think is a better team, who we have a better read on.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are the pick, especially because it's -2.
I was going to say, I don't even know if we ever read the line, but it's -2 on the contest line. It'll probably be -2.5 because they always throw it at a half and it's shaded that way. Also, for what it's worth, the sharp side is going to end up being the Eagles. There's a lot more money on the Eagles than there are bets. And I may have locked in shameless plug. If you subscribe to the Patreon, then like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago or some shit like that, you were told that I bet the Eagles when it was -1.5. And then you would be happy because it means you would have taken the Eagles -2 in the last week or two. If you didn't subscribe to the Patreon, for shame. How dare you come here to get all of the depth and all of the picks for free? Nah, good on you. You're a smart guy. You're just probably not going to get CLV. And if you care about that shit, sorry. That's how time works.
Learn all kinds of things here.
All right. Is it time for Sunday? Is it time for some more rapid fire?
Yeah, let's talk about Sunday. Moving on to Sunday, starting in the 12 o'clock hour. We'll go Central Time.
We're still doing Central Time. It's the best time.
It's debatable, but all right.
Oh, it's the best time.
First up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to play the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are -5.
No, the Dolphins open -5.
This open versus current is going to kill me. The Dolphins are -3.5.
Because it's week one, Circa hasn't released their contest lines yet, so we're using a different website, and it's not the best layout, but
it's confusing me.
It is confusing. Dolphins -3.5. I don't want to touch.
Nah, me either.
This is not a bet. Like the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel with time to prepare, lots of advantage. Awesome offense. It's not changing. The defense should be solid, but they are still going to be missing a lot of their defensive line just due to injuries and returning. And to the extent that their defensive ends play, they're going to be nursing injuries. They missed the preseason. They missed training camp. They're not in shape yet. They'll get there, but not right now. Yeah, I think Tua is overrated, like a lot, but I also don't think it matters because Mike McDaniel is going to continue to cook up that scheme and the production does not lie. Like, yes, the stats lie about how good the quarterback is, but the stats don't lie about what the team's doing. And as long as Mike McDaniel can keep cooking in the regular season, especially with extra time, the Dolphins are going to keep on putting up points. And I don't want to step in front of that buzzsaw. However, I think the Jaguars are going to be solid. And anytime Tua goes up against a quarterback who's good, the Dolphins can lose. Is Trevor Lawrence good? The evidence continues to say no, but my gut continues to say maybe.
He's got the tools.
Hell, he even executes them sometimes, but he's got the inconsistency that people usually attribute to a Josh Allen.
Yeah, he just hasn't put it together, but he's shown a lot of flashes. He could do it.
I also kind of worry about the Jaguars secondary is. Remember when people thought Tyson Campbell was sick?
Yeah, never got that.
No, he's not like that. He's fine. And like Josh Allen's Joshua Hines. You can't change both. Change one. Go by Joshua Allen or go by Josh Hines.
He did both.
He did both. He went Joshua Hines Allen. That's way too much, dude. I don't even know who you are anymore. You're a practice squad player now. But in all reality, he's a good defensive end, but he's not game breaking because you can run at him. And the Dolphins I think the Dolphins are gonna run the ball a lot this year, like a lot more, and be very, very good at it. I appreciate adding Eric Armstead. And while Eric Armstead is going to help them stuff the run in most games, it's not going to help against this team because the Dolphins like to run like they like to throw. They like to get out wide and use speed. So your defensive tackles aren't going to help. You have to have linebackers that can carry with them. And one of these days, somebody's going to realize that I knew it was Devin Lloyd, but I wanted to say Brandon Lloyd anyway. One of these days, somebody's going to figure out that Devin Lloyd can't be trusted to operate outside of a phone booth. The man just gets confused, and he's not athletic enough to run with Devon A-Chain, and it spells disaster to me. Whereas on the other side of the ball, I could see a world where Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis struggle to get open against Kendall Fuller and Jalen Ramsey. Damn, I mean, I even like the Jordan Poyer pickup, but they just have no defensive line right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've got good safeties now. They've got useful corners. I don't know if they're great, but
yeah, we know
they're good at specific things.
They had great corners for very specific niches 3 years ago. Like 3 years ago, Kendall Fuller is the best slot corner in the game. Jalen Ramsey is the best zone corner / safety hybrid in the game. You would have been so set, but it is not those years ago. It is today, Junior, and it's not looking sick.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you go to the D line where they lost Christian Wilkins, just huge for them. At least Jalen Phillips is still on the team. Granted, is he healthy?
Well, that's the thing is he's back, but he hasn't played all offseason. He's just coming off of a catastrophic injury. If they give him a full workload this week, I would be surprised. And I also don't think he would be himself yet. Like, he fucked up his entire leg.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry. They replaced Christian Wilkins with Calais Campbell's corpse. They're just going to stand it up there and kind of like put a stick behind it to prop it up, and he'll stop the run all by himself by being tall.
I mean, he's been kind of doing that for the last couple of years already.
It has to stop at some point. Damn it. It has to. Emmanuel Agba is on this team, and he's going to start because Bradley Chubb, the exact same thing as him, is hurt. They were the same draft, right?
No, I think Agba was a year or two before.
Well, they're the same player.
Bradley Chubb was the Baker draft, wasn't he?
Correct. And remember, people wanted to take him top 5, and I said, this guy's not the best defensive lineman on his team. Kentavious Street. And then Kentavious Street said, I don't have ligaments.
Yeah, because I think Agbo was on the team. I think he was the year before the Miles draft.
Yeah, no, he was.
Either way, he's all right. He's fallen off a little bit as he's gotten older. I think he's a little bit of a downgrade from Brad Chubb, but not that much.
Overall, I just don't. In a tighter week with less value, I could see us trying to make a play on Jaguars plus 3.5 because we're getting an actionable number on a team that's close enough. But there's just so many good picks this week. We don't have to force it.
Yeah. And I could also see the Dolphins running away with this game.
Anytime the Dolphins play before November, I could see them running away unless they're playing a quarterback. And I'm not sure that there's too much unknown in this game. Fuck this game. Next game.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are -3.
And for contest purposes, it's probably going to be -3.5. Just looking at that shaded line. Again, if you follow the Patreon, you got this at Atlanta -3 a while ago when the odds were very favorable to Atlanta. So free Patreon, not free if you want picks. So pay me and then I'll give the money to Alex and he'll bet on football games with it.
Sort of free Patreon, but also if you pay for the Patreon, it's going to a worthy cause.
Yeah, it's a free Patreon until you want picks, and then it's not a free Patreon. Speaking of free, if this was Atlanta -2, this would be free money. But this game is ridiculous. People just keep on thinking the Steelers are going to be a good team because Mike Tomlin exists and they wear black and yellow. Why the fuck is this game close?
I mean, I think that Atlanta, like, a lot of change. A new quarterback that is coming off an Achilles.
Who gives a fuck? He has never moved in the pocket one time.
Well, yeah, but still, you don't get to rehab and do you're rehabbing and not doing your regular off-season plan. You're on a new team. It's a new coach that we don't like.
Yeah.
So I think there's some toss-up, whereas the Steelers have a new quarterback, but, like, you know what the fucking Steelers are.
Yeah, and I don't like it. Okay, start with Atlanta on offense, because this is where I think the game is won. You gotta worry. You gotta worry about TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. They're sick. They are sick. They might be the best pass rushing duo in the NFL. Hands up. They're great. I don't think either of them is the best defensive end in the league, but they're both very close.
Yeah, and I think they're both very smart.
Yes.
Which is a very important thing in this defense because so much of it is schemed up. And if you can just read things right, you're going to have a lot of success.
Well, and what you could argue theoretically that TJ Watt is the most valuable edge defending player because he's like a top 5-ish, definitely top 10 pass rusher. But then he's also like a legitimately good dropper in coverage. Like he can do all the things. Now, I don't value the other things. Get after the fucking quarterback, sir. But he can do those things. So, like, I could see how his Madden overall would be higher because he's better at the ancillary shit. That being said, Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry are very solid, now experienced tackles. So I'm not terribly worried. Look, they're not going to stop these guys, but they can contain them. They can prevent the Steelers' edges from wrecking this game.
Yeah.
And then on the interior, I know Cam Hayward just got paid. He's not the Cam Hayward we know as Cam Hayward, and Larry Ogunjobi is no longer Fat Larry, therefore he's mid.
Yeah, like Cam Hayward's still good, but he's not the game wrecker he used to be.
Yeah.
And Ogunjobi, he has his moments, but he's just too inconsistent.
Exactly. So I feel comfortable leaving Bergeron and Dahlman to handle Ogunjobi and Hayward, and then you can allow Lindstrom to, double team on Watt. You can chip a running back on the other side to Highsmith, and all of a sudden you've bought yourself a lot of time to try to hit Drake London or, God forbid, Kyle Pitts. I do think I like Joey Porter Jr. I think you hear Steelers fans talking about how Joey Porter Jr. should have been a top 10 pick and like he's already one of the best corners in football.
They always do that.
Yeah, Steelers fans, you have a disease, but I do think Joey Porter Jr., they're the same people as Ohio State fans where it's like, yeah, you're not totally wrong, but also I want to slap you a lot. And maybe that's just because I went to college in Ohio where there was a lot of those people. But
as someone that grew up in Ohio, no, you're right.
Joey Porter Jr. does match up well on Drake London because he's a long physical corner and Drake London is a long physical wide receiver. But the thing that makes Drake London special and the reason that I think he will be the next Mike Evans is because Drake London can also run routes and run past you. And I think that Joey Porter Jr. kind of lacks that speed and quickness element, which is that sounds terrible for a corner. Like he's not fast or quick, but I promise you can still be good. Just ask Richard Sherman, even if you can't move that well, if you're 6'2" or 6'3", physical and smart as hell. That's Joey Porter. On the other side, that's where you make your money. I like Darnell Mooney. I like him a lot. And Darnell Mooney is going to be going against none other than Dante Jackson, who just continues to be allowed to play football because he ran fast one time in Indianapolis. Despite the fact,
he gets like 2 picks a season that he normally returns pretty well. It's just that he gives up 6 times as many giant gains.
Yes, and his picks are never like, oh, great read, you jumped that route. It's like the quarterback missed by 15 yards and Dante Jackson happened to be standing there when the ball lodged itself in the neck opening of his chest protector. What do you call a fucking chest protector in football again? Shoulder pads? I got hockey on the brain. Darnell Mooney is very sudden and quick. The way that he wins is with route running, and Dante Jackson is very quick, but is also fucking lost. He does not know what game he is playing. He is calling his shoulder pads chest protectors, goddammit. I see way too many ways for no, they didn't get Liam Cohen. They got the other one. Who's their offensive coordinator? Did they get Liam Cohen?
I thought they got Liam Cohen.
They got Liam Cohen, and the Rams got Liam Cohen, not the Rams. The Bucks got Liam Cohen from the Rams. The Falcons got the one who worked at PFF. His name escapes me.
Zach Robinson,
who runs a similar Sean McVay offense, and I expect
they're both McVay guys.
And I expect the offense to be good. I expect them to utilize the fact that Darnell Mooney is a great route runner and great after the catch, and same with Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod cannot play wide receiver, but he can run with the ball in his hands, and I think that they will get him the ball on screens and in motion, much the way Kyle Shanahan uses Debo, a different style of yak receiver, but a similar concept. Finally, maybe Kyle Pitts will learn how to track a ball and catch it. Probably not, but what if? If you're ever going to learn how to get open, it's against Patrick Queen. And if you're ever going to learn how to catch a ball, it's probably when DeShazer Elliott is the one trying to hit you. Oh, it's Deshaun Elliott. They got to be related.
I don't know. Maybe. It kind of makes sense.
Safeties who
like for other names, Deshaun and DeShazer.
Both went to college in Texas, both play safety, both similar body types. I'm going to call it. Jamie, look that up. We don't have a Jamie.
At the risk of doing a racism.
True. Do you think they'll stick Minkah Fitzpatrick on Kyle Pitts, or do you think that Kyle Pitts has kind of like lost his luster to the extent that he no longer demands such attention?
I don't know. I think they might. I could see it happening, but I feel like they really like having Minkah just kind of like patrol or match on whatever the play is.
I agree. Finally, talking about the Steelers defense, I love Peyton Wilson. I don't have a lot to say other than I had Peyton Wilson as a top 5 player in this draft if you take away positional value. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have ligaments, which is it's a constant theme. When I really like a guy and then the NFL doesn't draft him high, they don't have ligaments, and you need those.
They're important for playing football.
I do think that the combination of Peyton Wilson, who's sick, and a tough defensive line will make it difficult for Bijan Robinson to really shine. But if I was banking on the Falcons scoring lots of points because they fucking run the ball, I wouldn't be betting on them.
Yeah. I mean, I think they definitely have the advantage in the pass game, especially because Bijan is a very legitimate threat in the pass game, too.
Yeah, but Peyton Wilson is Fred Warner, but he tackles.
Yeah, but Bijan's incredible. He'll make some plays happen. I think the Falcons have an advantage on offense, but it's not huge.
Yeah, no, I think the real advantage is simply just that the Steelers won't score. It's going to be George Pickens and Van Jefferson on the outside. What happened? What happened to our sweet Kevin Colbert with the elite wide receivers all the time? He retires, and less than 2 years later, that's barren.
It's also because their incredible wide receivers coach that coached up a lot of those guys that turned into studs died.
Fuck. Yeah. Okay. Well, then we know exactly what happened, and we don't like it.
He died a few years ago, and they haven't been churning them out like they used to.
Funny how that works. The guy who picks the elite receiver is gone. The guy who coaches the elite receiver is gone. Now the elite receiver is gone. Anyway, Calvin Austin never popped, and I no longer believe he can play receiver in this league. They got rid of Deontay Johnson. I don't know if that was the best move.
I just don't think he wanted to be there anymore.
No, he didn't. And who could blame him? His quarterback this year is going to be Russell Wilson until it's Justin Fields, until it's whoever they take top 5 in the draft. I love George Pickens. He's sick, and I don't like the Falcons secondary. It's very spotty. But what the Falcons do have is one AJ Terrell, who's sick, and he will match up on Pickens, and he will mostly keep him in check. So the question is going to be, can Russell Wilson, a guy who, doesn't process at all and also isn't accurate, and now he can't run because he's old and chubby, can he win by reading through his plays, getting the ball to Calvin Austin III in the slot and Van Jefferson on the outside? I'm going to tell you the answer is no, because I think a lot of really good quarterbacks like Matt Stafford would struggle to win on the outside with Van Jefferson, because Van Jefferson's not in LA for a reason. Additionally, this Steelers offensive line kind of sucks.
It's bad.
Like, I like James Daniels at right guard. He's solid. He's fine. I like enough Broderick Jones. I think that he will become good. I think he'll be a good right tackle. Spencer Anderson, who the fuck is that? 7th round pick from last year? No, thank you. Dan Moore, you should not be starting. If he's not starting, though, it's going to be who's the big Hawaiian guy they drafted 1st round?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it Fuonga?
Oh, man, I
think it's Fuonga. And Fuonga should be a guard, which does not bode well when you're playing him at left tackle.
I mean, they need a guard, but
they need everything except for right tackle, basically, because James Daniels is getting up there. They drafted him to play with Trubisky in Chicago. Trubisky's already out of the league, basically. Additionally, Grady Jarrett, not what he was, but David Onyemata, also very good. You combine the two, going to be tough to run, and we know the Steelers are going to want to run up the middle, because that's just what Arthur Smith does. And any advantage that Arthur Smith would have, because it's a revenge game, it's the team that just fired him, and he gets to go back there and show them that he actually is a genius, damn it, is going to be mitigated by the fact that it's the first game of the year. Everybody.
And I think the Falcons players might hate him more than he hates them.
Right? Like, if you're Bijan Robinson, you're going to try to take every single fucking touch house and be like, hey, do you know I could do this?
Yeah.
Call the Tyler Algier instead. So I like the Falcons because I think they can score 28 on this Steeler defense, and I don't think the Steelers can score 28 on anybody. I think the Steelers will be lucky to get to 21 in most games.
I agree with that. I worry a little bit about the Falcons just because it was a lot of change. Kirk can get a little happy feet in some pockets, but I don't worry about them anywhere near as much as I would worry about this Pittsburgh offense.
Well, yeah, I mean, think of it this way. In order to make a bet, we have to find a market inefficiency. What are people not seeing? People aren't seeing that Russell Wilson fucking sucks. because he put up, average numbers dinking and dunking in a Joe Lombardi shit offense last year in Denver and winning due to some turnover luck and ball control. It's not going to continue. And the Falcons are going to be actually decent. I think it's a tier mismatch. We have different tiers here.
I agree with you. I think a lot of it too is because I think people have really soured on Wilson. I think it's just that Steeler aura, the Mike Tomlin ability to win games that they shouldn't win. And admittedly, I think that's bigger in week one. I think coaching is bigger in week one.
Yeah, but
Tomlin is a better coach than Raheem Morris is.
Yeah, but Mike Tomlin's a better coach in motivation. He gets his team to show up when they shouldn't. But everybody's supposed to show up week one.
Yeah, but so week one's always sloppy. And I think coaching plays into that.
True.
I don't know, I like the Falcons, but I'm not in love with the Falcons.
Yeah, so far we've got 3 tentative picks, none of which I adore. We've got Kansas City over Baltimore, Philly over Green Bay, and Atlanta over Pittsburgh, all of which the numbers are slowly getting away from us, and I don't absolutely love, but I think I love the next one.
All right, let's move on. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings going to play the New York Giants. The Giants are plus 1.5.
Somebody make this line make sense. I know what it is. I know that basically the handicap, in a nutshell, people think Sam Darnold sucks. And I don't think they're wrong.
Yeah.
But people overestimate how much the quarterback matters because you still have Justin Jefferson. You still have Jordan Addison. Now you have the best running back that Cock has ever had in Aaron Jones, right? Is Aaron Jones? God damn, I'm good. And you have a solid, if not good, offensive line. In Cock we trust. Sam Darnold's going to have to do so little. He's just going to have to feed the best, maybe second best receiver in the NFL and then run a top 5, top 10 scheme against a defense with no secondary to speak of and no real outside pass rush. Kayvon Thibodeau got a bunch of sacks last year, but they were all fake. He's not going to fucking beat Brian O'Neill or, God forbid, Christian Darrisaw. And then Brian Burns is good, but he's a one-trick pony. He's going to rush the edge. He's either going to ghost move you or he's going to swim you, and you're just going to have to get the ball out within 3 seconds. And Cock has the answers and a good run game, and Burns can't stop the run game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game plan or the way the Giants win is they just have to confuse the shit out of Darnold. But I feel like Cock is going to make it a pretty simple game plan for him.
Well, that's the thing. That's what makes these Shanahan McVay offenses so quarterback friendly is you don't have to think. It's going to be every read is going to be play action to Aaron Jones, who will be averaging 5 yards a carry, by the way. And then look 1, is Justin Jefferson open deep? Answer is probably. Look 2, if not, Jordan Addison is definitely open underneath him for 10 yards. And Darnold doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to be particularly accurate because you're exploiting zones. I love it. The drop off from Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold in an average offense is probably pretty big. We're talking a touchdown. But in this particular offense, I don't think so. It sucks. If JJ McCarthy had played, I would bet a fortune on this game. But out of boredom and morbid curiosity, I watched every snap of Sam Darnold 2022 a couple weeks ago. The man has some talent. He's not a Chase Daniel who you just bring in and pray to God he can hit 1 or 2 decent passes. Darnold's going to throw some nice big time throws. The problem is when he thinks, but you're not asking him to think.
Yeah, I mean, I worry a little bit because Dexter Lawrence is great in the run.
True, but it's an outside zone run game. So you're getting away from it. You're going to double team Lawrence and you're going to run at Burns.
Yeah, I guess my worry is that if the Giants are able to stifle the run, not even shut it down, but just make it so that Darnold is more than likely going to pass, and then they might make him think. Just the defense might be set up. The play might not call for him to think, but he might have to move off of Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison might not be open on a route, and then it's pick city. But I mean, I guess you could say that about a lot of teams.
You're saying that about a lot of teams, and then let's flip to the other side of the ball because this is where I think the second most value for the Vikings occurs. Last year, the Vikings couldn't stop a nosebleed, but they did have Brian Flores, who's a brilliant defensive coordinator. Now, look, I'm not in love with their entire defensive line. I like Dallas Turner a lot, actually, but I mean, I don't want him stuffing the run. I'm not worried about him stuffing the run because the Giants' offensive line kind of sucks outside of Andrew Thomas. Just keep Dallas Turner away from Andrew Thomas. And then who they handing the fucking ball to? Fucking Devin Singletary? I like him. He's not special, and he's not creating outside of a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is terrible. Daniel Jones is a worse version of what Sam Darnold is. Like, I think Darnold's just slightly better downfield passer, Daniel Jones. More than slightly. I think he's a much better downfield passer, maybe a slightly worse thinker.
Yeah, Daniel Jones can rip off a run every now and again.
Sure, but are we going to alter our handicap based on something he'll do 5 times this year?
No, absolutely not.
Furthermore, while I don't love the defensive line outside of Dallas Turner, quietly, the Vikings have turned a desolate wasteland of a secondary into a kind of good secondary. So the problem was that they had Byron Murphy starting at cornerback 1, right? And he's not an outside corner. He can't play man at all, and even in zone, he's just okay on the inside. But now they got Stephon Gilmore, who last year nobody paid attention to as a legitimate cornerback 1. So they have a cornerback 1. Yeah, he's aging. He's not going to be elite top of the league. He'll be good. He'll be enough to shut down probably Darius Slayton. And I like Slayton, but fuck, dude, it's Stephon Gilmore. And then on the other side, they're going to have Shaq Griffin, the one with 2 hands. And he's fine. No, he's not going to hang with Malik Neighbors, but he's fine. And then Byron Murphy suddenly becomes a legitimately solid, if not good, slot corner. So by adding one dude to the top of their rotation, they revolutionized all their cornerbacks. And now it doesn't matter so much that Harrison Smith is decrepit and can't move that well because he's smart and he's not going to be asked to do as much. And Cameron Bynum is only okay, but he won't be asked to do as much. And then I love this linebacker duo of Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace Jr. Like,
it's a great group.
Cashman is so athletic and so good in coverage, and he finally got utilized in Houston, so people saw it. And I think that Brian Flores is going to have a fucking time and a half moving him around, blitzing him, dropping him into difficult coverages because he can. And then Ivan Pace proved last year, yeah, this dude can just fucking thump the run. Like, he is a football player. Yeah, he's not that athletic, but he can play football. He's kind of small, but he can play football. Whereas I'm not excited about anything on the Giants offense except for Malik Neighbors. Like, I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't like an offense that's centered around Daniel Jones hitting slants. I love Malik Neighbors. Daniel Jones can't throw the deep ball. So I think we have an offense with some upside that is totally hamstrung by their quarterback versus an offense that has more upside, which is not as hamstrung by their quarterback. Like the similar offensive coaches, better defense in Minnesota, and I'm not laying any real points.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it of Daniel Jones versus Sam Darnold, they're pretty similar. Like on any given day, one can play better than the other, but on average, they're going to be kind of the same guy.
Yep.
Both teams have good receivers. They have at least...
There's a caliber difference.
Well, I don't even know if that's true.
Justin Jefferson.
I mean, yeah, he's incredible, but I feel like Malik Neighbors is going to be really fucking good.
He will, but not in his first game in the NFL.
Maybe. I feel like wide receivers, because it's so much like, especially the guys that are as athletic as people like Neighbors are. Like, I mean, Justin Jefferson came in, was great right away. Jamar Chase came in, was great right away. Like, we're seeing a lot more receivers come in, and like the top flight ones are really good right away.
Very right. I am being square. But then I'll hit you with Jordan Addison over Darius Slayton.
No, and that's true. But I think Wan'Dale Robinson is better than any of the other options the Vikings have.
You speak truth.
So I think it's kind of a wash that they're both talented receiver groups that aren't going to be able to produce like they should because the quarterback holds them back. And then we like the corners and the secondary more for the Vikings.
A lot more.
And we like the offensive line more.
A lot more. Yeah.
So I think when you look at it like that, it's kind of like, yeah, you got to go Vikings.
Yeah, it's at the very least a coin flip game, and I think we are better in the most important areas.
Yeah. And at -1.5, it's basically money line.
It is money line. And god damn, there is sharp money on the Giants, and I do not agree with it.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that. I was like, it's pretty even for total bets, but the money is definitely on the Giants.
Look, I like Kirk Cousins. Like, I think he's improved late in his career because he never had the arm talent, but now he's got the savvy, and he developed a scrotum with some balls in it as he aged. However, Kevin O'Connell had Kirk putting up like MVP numbers. We know Kirk's not an MVP guy. I think the 49ers would have won the Super Bowl last year if they played Darnold instead of Purdy. And this is a similar situation on offense. They don't have the defense to match it, but I think the Vikings can score with just about anybody.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a thing actually we should bake into Atlanta a little bit more is that, yeah, it's still a McVay guy, but Kirk Cousins might not be the same without Cock.
No, he won't.
He might not be the same without Justin Jefferson. He might go back to being timid. But
I don't think it'd be timid because he just got paid. fade, and now he wears chains. But I do think that Kirk Cousins will be a little bit worse. I think that he will revert back to being a good starter rather than like a holy shit, is this guy an MVP candidate?
That's fair. But we can talk about that more in the wrap up.
Yep. All right.
Vikings.
I love the Vikings.
I like it.
Do you think 2 units like best bet Vikings, or you just think yes Vikings?
I think just yes Vikings.
Okay.
But we can come back to it when we got to make a best bet.
Vikings.
There it is. We have the Tennessee Titans going to play the Chicago Bears. The Bears are -4.
What's that smell?
Opportunity.
No, money.
Oh, okay.
I smell money.
I fucking love this. I got one of my most overrated teams of the season versus probably my most underrated team of the season. And it's happening just a couple miles down the road. I can see it from my apartment.
Are you going to open your windows so you can hear all of the people be upset?
No, but I may wander down to Woody's just to drink the tears.
Just to bask in it.
I may throw a couple texts in the family group text saying, "Oh no, I thought he was the best quarterback of all time, though." See, this is what they've done to me. I think Caleb Williams will be good, but now I have to hate him because everybody loves him too much. This is a simple handicap. Like, what are we seeing that the market is not seeing? Will Levis is as good, if not better, than Caleb Williams in this game. Like, yeah, I have almost identical grades on these two players, but it's Caleb Williams' first game, whereas Will Levis has had a year to get ready for the NFL, and playing matters. Additionally, I just think everything around the Bears is too hyped. Like, Hard Knocks has got them hyped. Caleb Williams has got them hyped. They drafted Roma Dunze, who I think has way too much hype. They got Keenan Allen, who's a big name and also a big belly on a wide receiver. Meanwhile, the Titans have just quietly continued to be sick and had an offseason made of gold. They get Harold Landry back, so now they have a legit edge one. Jeffrey Simmons, healthy, elite defensive tackle. They acquired Ernest Jones for a song and a dance, maybe not even a dance, and not a very good song. They acquired Ernest Jones for Hey There Delilah, and he fits so perfectly into what they're going to try to do. He's a great blitzer, and he's an athlete who can chase down the run, which allows their excellent secondary to just worry about coverage. Because I love Amani Hooker and I love Quandre Diggs, but neither of them is exactly a thumping safety. Having a guy like Ernest Jones gets rid of the necessity to have a thumping safety. You could just cover. The Bears are going to run the ball a lot more than people think, because that's how Shane Waldron, that's his thing. He's a Sean McVay disciple, but he's even a little bit more traditional than McVay. He's going to run the ball. He's going to run to set up the pass, and you can't run the ball on Sebastian Joseph Day, Arden Key, and Jeffrey Simmons, even if Harold Landry is a little less fantastic against the run. Overall, I think these are pretty similar teams in terms of talent, but I think that the Bears have hype coming on them in every direction, and nobody's paying attention to the Titans. To the extent they are, I don't think anybody is ready for Will Levis with a good offensive play caller and an offensive line that is going to go from second or third worst in the NFL last year to top 15 for sure.
Yeah, and you get the number at +4.
Which is ridiculous, and it's probably going to be +4.5 in the fucking contest.
And we didn't even talk about the coaching change, where we think the Titans got a lot better coaching-wise. Yeah, it's a rookie head coach, but he's got his dad, who is Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches that has also been around forever and has been a head coach.
Yep.
So I think that, that'll lessen some of the stress on, first head coach game. And I think they're just going to be a lot better because they run a much better offense. They're going to be better on the O-line because they have Bill fucking Callahan coaching.
They're going to be more.
I think that's another thing that we aren't, or maybe the market isn't taking into account.
I guarantee there's a lot of old money in that market that's saying Mike Vrabel was a great coach, always a winning record. They downgraded at coach? They're worse. No, they're fucking better, and they're better at quarterback, and they're better at offensive line. This is the most improved team in the entire NFL this year.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about Algeria Sneed.
Oh, the secondary. Let's take a moment, because this is my favorite secondary in the league. They just built the entire ship out of Joe's guys. So Algeria Sneed, I think he's the best corner going right now. You could argue, I mean, I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be nipping at his heels when he's healthy. I think Sauce Gardner's up there. I get it, but I love Algeria Sneed. I also love Roger McCreary in the slot. Roger McCreary is so good in the slot that the Titans just gave up on Elijah Molden, a good slot corner, because they couldn't get him on the field.
Yeah.
Chido Awuzie is getting a little longer in the tooth, but he's going from being a bona fide number one corner in Cincinnati to a second or third corner here in Tennessee. Quandre Diggs, people just keep on thinking he's not good. He keeps on being really good in coverage. Yeah, can't hit that well. Don't care. Not even a little. And then Amani Hooker, who you and I have loved since he came out in the draft.
Yeah, no, this defense is awesome.
They built the whole thing out of my guys. It's sick.
Yeah, so I think that'll compound the fact that it's Caleb Williams' first game.
Yeah.
And, he's very talented. I think he's going to be really good as well. But, he did play in the Pac-12, and now he's facing the Titans defense.
It's a little different. And Lincoln Riley / Cliff Kingsbury offense, slightly friendlier than Shane Waldron.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with you. I think, this is a bet. This is what would probably be best bet.
This might be best bet.
Out of what we've seen so far, because we're getting 4 points, and we think they're the better team.
Yeah, and then, it's definitely best bet. Let's give it its due.
Again?
We got the double. Additionally, people talk about this Bears defense like it's really good all of a sudden. Yes, they got Montez Sweat, and Montez Sweat is a top 20 rusher, but he's not a superstar. He's not even really a star. Do you think that the coincidence of acquiring Montez Sweat and then playing almost exclusively backups for the rest of the second half of the season has anything to do with the Bears defense looking good? Do you think that maybe this chatter, this totally unfounded, ridiculous chatter about the Bears having one of the top secondaries in the NFL has something to do with the fact that they played a lot of backup quarterbacks in the second half of the year, which makes their stats look like their young players are improving, but in reality, they're just not doing anything? Let's see Tyreek Stevenson. Let's see if he can cover Calvin Ridley. I don't think he can. I think Jalen Johnson is that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
He's very, very good, especially when he's healthy, which, again, not often. But week 1, he will lock up Nuke Hopkins. Give it to him. Kyler Gordon's not touching Tyler Boyd. Kyler Gordon sucks penis for the taste. Tyreek Stevenson, a great athlete, and I think one day he'll be a good starting corner, but it's not today, and Calvin Ridley is too shifty. The man runs a route, and you got him on a raw young corner. I don't see any game changers. Hell, I only see one real bona fide starter on the Bears defensive line. So to the extent that the Titans are struggling early in the season on the offensive line, which is possible, right? The whole left side is young. The whole right side is unproven. It could happen. But to the extent that it does happen, who are you afraid of? I'm not afraid of Montez Sweat. I think Latham can handle him enough. And I think that if you double him, whoever the Titans roll out at right tackle, whether it's Petit Freer or whether it's Jalen Duncan, will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good offensive line. Even with Bill Callahan there, it's not a good offensive line.
Well, the real hole is right tackle.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it can be, dare I say, legitimately good. But right tackle is rough right now.
Yeah, and Latham's a rookie that probably should be a guard.
Yeah.
But you're playing the Bears, who have one guy that can rush the passer.
Somebody call Taylor Lewan and make him gain a bunch of weight.
He's got that podcast money. He doesn't care.
Yeah, no, he's out. Yeah, no, to the extent that the Titans have a weakness, it's going to be their offensive line, and that's mitigated by the Bears' total lack of a defensive line. Simple, cut and dry. We get 4 points. Best bet.
Yeah, we don't even talk about it more. It's easy. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals going to play the Buffalo Bills. That number is -6.5 for the Bills.
It's too big of a line. This might be what I pair with the Bengals in our teaser, because I don't see the Bills losing. I think the Cardinals are getting overrated a little bit because I think people are under the impression that Kyler is good. I don't think Kyler is good.
Right.
Kyler is kind of just perfectly flown under the radar with that maybe he'll be good for 6 years thing. Nobody's ever cared enough about Arizona to check in and be like, wait a second, maybe that Oompa Loompa is not a good starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and he gets hurt too much that he doesn't put up full season stats very often that you can look at it and go, okay, you're just getting small samples.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the epitome of very exciting, but not actually that good.
The only reason I don't want to bet the Bills a lot, the only fear I have is just that it's Josh Allen and then fuck it, something will happen. I think that their plan this offseason was literally, I don't know. If one of these things works, cool. If not, next year. We'll spend the money next year.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but Josh Allen still is very good, and I don't think the Cardinals are anything.
Yeah, which is why
So,
I think it might be nice in a teaser.
yeah, exactly. I think it's a good teaser option, but 6.5 week one on a Bills team that we don't really know what they're going to look like. We'll leave it. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers going to play the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are -4.
No, I hate this.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
I just don't want to lay 4 with the Saints ever because they're going to be regressive on offense until proven otherwise. And then I'm never betting on the Panthers because I think that they suck.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same way I feel about it. I don't want to take anything over like 2.5 with the Saints, and it's got to be a good matchup. This is a good matchup, but I don't want to take 4 with 2 with a very bad team and a not good team.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have to treat the Saints a little bit like we treated the Titans in years past, where even if they're going to win, they're not going to win big. It's just not, it's not what they're made for. But this game is disgusting and will be like excruciating to watch. So if you're going to watch it for some godforsaken reason, I guess throw some pizza money on the Saints, but probably don't. Probably watch a different game. Let's quickly jump to the next game, which we will also not pay much attention to.
Next up, we have the New England Patriots going to play the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are -8.
I mean, if you've got a line you don't love and you need to anchor it with something, the Bengals will win this game, or I will eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup.
Hey, I won't let you run from the people like that guy did.
Okay, then I won't eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup because I have nothing to gain, and that would be a very dumb bet, even though I am pretty goddamn sure the Bengals will win. And I have used them money line as an anchor to slightly move lines in another game that I bet, but I forget which one.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We're not betting on a -8 in week one.
Ooh, it might be our PBFG teaser though. I'll throw that in just so we can remember it later. I don't know what we'll tease it with, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely. We will use it. But I don't think there's much else to talk about this game. Bengals are going to win. Patriots are a dumpster fire.
Arguably worst coach in the NFL already, based solely on the fact that he can't say consecutive sentences that jibe.
Now, he just went to the Belichick school of deception.
I think
he's just not very good at it.
I think he went to the PCP school of not making sense. Next game.
Next up, we have the Houston Texans going to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are +2.5. I guess Texans are -2.5. We're doing favorites.
Either way, this is another one. If you got in early, if you follow the Patreon, this was -2. -2 was nicer. Still, why do we think the Colts are going to hang with the Texans? I expected the Texans to be overrated coming out of the gate just because CJ Stroud gets too much love, but I guess it's mitigated by Bobby Slowick not getting enough love. Regardless, one way or another.
I think it's people going, Anthony Richardson scored a shitload of fantasy points in the few games he played and had a couple of highlights, and now he's back. I think it might be as simple as that.
Well, do we think that theoretically maybe the Houston Texans starting defense is better than the Bengals backup defense?
Yeah.
Because the Cincinnati Bengals backup defense had Anthony Richardson living in a blender of hell like a week ago. Like that just happened.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Anthony Richardson sucks. He's bad.
Face value, this is a hammer the Texans.
Yeah. Okay. Again, the market mostly understands what's going on here, right? Like, I don't necessarily believe in efficient market theory. I think all markets are a little off, but I think they're all pretty close. Just like I think democracy never picks an awesome leader, but it never picks a terrible one. Although we're trying to find out. The market generally knows that these teams aren't that far off. What is the market missing? The market thinks that Anthony Richardson isn't horse shit. He's horse shit. I said some nasty things a little earlier about a slot corner on the Bears, Kyler Gordon. They apply to Anthony Richardson as well. He's bad at football. He's an awesome athlete. He was built in a lab to play football, just a different position from the one he currently plays. If Anthony Richardson had been raised as a defensive end or a tight end even, we'd be talking about $100 million man, but we're not.
Yeah, he just can't really throw that well.
Yeah, he doesn't know where the ball's going, and even when he does, he's making terrible decisions. The one saving grace is that it's hard to sack him because he's bigger than all the defenders.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Big Ben, except instead of making terrible decisions off the field, Richardson makes them on the field as well.
For his life, that might be preferable.
No, definitely. I would rather have a lot of Anthony Richardsons who don't understand football than a lot of Ben Roethlisbergers who don't understand no. But, and I want to make clear, Anthony Richardson seems, by all accounts, like an awesome dude. Like, in college, he went out of his way to change his nickname from AR-15 because he felt like it made people upset because of gun violence. That's a sweet boy. However, man's fucking dumb on the football field. That's all we care about. We're not betting on whether or not his mama loves him a lot. So, we got a bad quarterback who's being treated like a good quarterback. On the other side, the Houston Texans' biggest sin, in my eyes, is that people think CJ Stroud's awesome, and I think he's fine. But people think Bobby Slowick is whatever, and I think Bobby Slowick is dope. So they cancel each other out. The Texans also have a full regimen of wide receivers, one of the best in the league. Stephon Diggs is not that guy anymore, but he is that slot receiver. And you know who's that guy? Fucking Nico Collins. If that's not an indictment of Jim Harbaugh and everything he's been doing at Michigan for the last half a decade, what is? The man went from being completely unpolished and a borderline backup receiver in college football to unstoppable in the NFL because somebody taught him how to run a fucking route. Also, Tank Dell should be back. The man is just, he's a water bug. He's so damn quick and small. They have every kind of option. Dalton Schultz, not the best tight end, but he will give you everything you scheme open for him. Like, they are not sick at anything except for Nico Collins, but they have a representative for every position on the basketball field or on the basketball team on the field. Also, like, the Colts defense. Why does nobody talk about how the Colts defense sucks outside of defensive tackle?
I don't know. And it's been like that for a while. Like, they haven't had, they had that one year where they had Stephon Gilmore there.
Yeah.
But they haven't had good corners in forever. And their linebackers, which used to be decent, are now not very good.
Yeah, they're slow. Dude, I saw somebody saying EJ Speed, one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL. And I was like, as in, like, he's one of the linebackers in the NFL? As in he made it?
He's got one of the better names of linebackers in the NFL.
If only his play resembled his name whatsoever. No, I'm really low on this Colts team, and I'm not necessarily high on the Texans, but this line is fucking zany to me. I Colts, or Texans, -2.5, -3. Fuck it.
I was going to say, my question is, at what line do we not take them? Because maybe this opens on Super Contest tomorrow and it's like 4.5.
I don't think it'll be 4.5. If it's 3.5, I blink. But I think I still take it at 3.5. I think this could be nuts. They're worse than they were with Minshew. And last year, the Texans were better than them with their entire wide receiving core decimated.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. I think 3.5 is probably my cutoff, but I'd be fine with going up to 3.5 too.
I don't think they're going to do 3.5 though, because it's currently -2.5 juiced to hell, or barely 3. I think they'll leave it at 3 and invite the push.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, all right, Texans.
All right, we got a stinker up next, so let's fly through it.
The Dallas Cowboys are traveling up to play the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are -2.5.
I like that this game should be interesting, but it just fucking isn't. Like, I don't care about the Cowboys. Nothing they've done has excited me in years. And the Browns have built the perfect environment for a quarterback, elite defense, weapons everywhere, good offensive line, good play calling head coach who just needs to tap his balls and throw down the field more often. But they have Deshaun Watson, and he's so bad. I have to lean Cowboys, but I don't want to bet on them either because the Browns are better in every way except quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to bet on this game. I think they're both two solid teams that have some holes, but are well coached, have very talented players on both sides of the ball. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's a really good line, but yeah, I don't really have a lean one way or another. I'm just going to watch it and listen to Tom's deep baritone guide me through it.
Yeah, no, this game will be on the medium TV. The Bucks game will be on the big TV.
Sure.
And the Seahawks game will be on the small TV. And I will not bet on any of those except for the Bucks. We've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Let's listen to Carrie Underwood's buttery legs and long voice.
Moving into the afternoon slate, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to play the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are -3.
Fuck that shit. I can only look Raiders and I won't.
Yeah, I mean, obviously actionable line, but I think both of these teams have way too wide of like an array of outcomes, and they're both not very good. I don't want to bet on it. And we like enough games that we don't need to.
Yeah, like what is the market missing here? Jim Harbaugh sucks. That's what the market's missing. The market thinks the Chargers got way better because of their coach. I think they arguably got worse. Don't need to touch it. I mean, fuck, let's do the next one too.
I was about to say we don't need to pause. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos going to play the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are -6.
No, fuck this game. And I don't even want it. I don't even want it as a teaser just because I don't trust the Seahawks that much yet. I should. But I'm a little high on the Seahawks. I just don't think that 6 points is a very good number to lay for a team with a new offensive coordinator against a Broncos team that at the very least will keep the game close via ball control. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about the Seahawks. Do you?
No, I mean, we like the head coach. I think he's going to improve them, but I don't like them enough for 6.
6 is a lot. And
it's a big number.
Broncos aren't that terrible.
Right. Like, they're not good, but they're not like god awful either.
They're not inept.
Yeah. And, Seahawks do have a new coach, so maybe week 1's a little bit messier. Yeah, I don't want to touch it. We can just move on.
I like the next one.
And next up for Joe's Super Bowl, we have the Washington Commanders going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are -3.
Ah, shit, I guess this is my Super Bowl, huh?
Yes, it is.
Oh no. If the Buccaneers lose this game, I might just have to right off the bridge.
That was a creative use of that. Well done.
Well, we had to get it in somehow, and we haven't been there yet. I don't know how this game stays close, but I hate laying 3.5 with the Bucs. That's basically it.
Yeah, I agree with you. If it stays at 3, then fuck yeah.
What is the market missing? The market thinks that Jaden Daniels is sick. We know that he's not, right? The market also thinks that Bobby Wagner is sick, and we know that he's terrible. The market also thinks that the Buccaneers have lost a good offensive coordinator and have probably downgraded there, whereas we know they got way better on offense by losing Canales and, more importantly, Harold Goodwin. Oh my God. I mean, look at this Commanders secondary. It's so bad and so slow. Benjamin St-Juste continues to have compromising materials on somebody in the NFL because I don't understand why else he's being allowed to play corner. He should have been switched to defensive end years ago. When you're switching your cornerback to defensive end, you know things are not going well. They brought in Jeremy Chin to play box linebacker at free safety. That'll work. Their entire defensive line is poop. God damn it.
Jonathan Allen, Payne are both solid.
They're solid. We talked about it.
Jonathan Allen has been very good.
We talked about it last week in the NFC East pod. They're both shells of themselves. And when those are the focal points of your defensive line, you need a whole new defensive line.
Yeah, and in years past, you would go, oh, hell yeah, we have 2 stud D linemen against a weak interior line with Tampa, because that's probably their biggest weakness, is the interior line is not good or unproven.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Commanders they don't have the guys to take advantage of that.
Well, exactly. And the beauty of it is Dorrance Armstrong sucks, right? And Tristan Wirfs is elite. So you don't have to worry about that half of the field. And then Gadecki is okay, but Clelin Ferrell, I don't know that Clelin Ferrell would be a good starting defensive end in college right now, seeing as he never fucking was. So you basically have 3 blockers on the inside to handle 2 defensive tackles who are both past their prime. And Cody Mauch needs to improve a lot this year, but we said the exact same thing about Luke Gadecki 2 years ago, and then he did. So maybe there's something to the idea that going from North Dakota State to the NFL is a big jump that takes some adjusting to on the offensive line, and these guys just need time to get there. Ben Bredesen does suck. He's terrible. There's no fixing it. But I love Graham Barton at center. I think he's going to be a stud. So you double team one of those defensive tackles with your killer center and your shitty guard. Your tackles lock up the ends. Baker Mayfield's dealt with a lot worse protection as recently as every time he played last season.
Yeah, and with the advantage they have in the pass catchers to Washington secondary.
That's the thing. Who the fuck covers Mike Evans? Because he's going to cook Benjamin St-Juste to a crisp.
They're going to put St-Juste on him because they go, oh, he's big.
Yep. And that's the problem is like Benjamin St. Juste is 6'4", but he's got the ball skills of a snake, and he's got the spatial awareness of a guy who doesn't know where he is most of the time. And he's about as fast as that same snake. So Mike Evans is just going to be open. But hey, no, I'm sure that linebacker Jeremy Chin and whatever the hell let me check, Quan Martin is. I actually know Quan Martin. I don't think he's good. Damn. Now I feel like an idiot. Quan Martin was okay at Illinois. I just think he's a box safety. So you got two box safeties who are going to be trying to guard Mike Evans over the top, cooking Benjamin St. Juste, who is apparently a snake. That's not good. Has anybody ever heard also of a Chris Godwin? Because he's moved back to the slot, which is where he belongs, and he's going to be going up against rookie Mike Sanders still. I like it.
Yep.
So
they're going to score.
They're going to score, and they got a much better offensive coordinator. I think that the Bucs could actually have a legitimately good offense this year. Man, no, I'm not going to say that this is our best bet, but I like this. This is definitely a bet. Other side of the ball, I will remind you that Jaden Daniels sucks. He is poopy. This offense it's Cliff Kingsbury. I like him more than most do, but it is simple. They're going to admit that they can't block anything and throw screens. And every once in a while, they'll try Terry McLaurin deep. But I actually really like Jamel Dean running streaks with Terry McLaurin because they're very similar athletes, and that's what Jamel Dean does best. I really like the Buccaneers' safeties, right? Antoine Winfield, elite. Jordan Whitehead, smart, not going to fuck up. And then the Commanders no longer have a receiver outside of McLaurin. So I'm not afraid of the lack of cornerback depth that the Buccaneers usually are trying to fight through, hurting them. And again, so the Buccaneers defense is not going to be very good this year because the secondary has one good corner and a lot of shit. And then the defensive line is two really good interior rushers and then shitty edges. But that interior defensive line is going to get pressure as easily as they ever will against Nick Allegretti and Tyler Biotish. Like, when Tyler Biotish is your second best offensive lineman, it's not good. I'll give the props to Sam Cosmi. He's good. Nobody else on this team is. I think Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, even he can beat Andrew Wiley, the worst offensive tackle in the league. I think that Yaya Diaby actually has something because he does have really good bend and length and athleticism. He just needed size and experience. And he's going to be going up against Brandon Coleman, a mid-round rookie pick. I don't think he's going to be very good, at least not in his first ever game. So I at least think that the Bucs will be able to contain Jaden Daniels. Dare I say they may even pressure him. Austin Eckler will not be able to run the ball whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, his legs are completely gone. His few years as a decent to usable running back are gone.
Yeah, I mean, he was never even that good in San Diego. He just caught a lot of balls. He was a Kobe. He was a volume guy. Zach Ertz is dead. Don't let his roster spot fool you. The Bucs are weak in the secondary and the defensive ends. They don't have anybody to cover, so the secondary doesn't matter. You don't really need to pressure a Cliff Kingsbury offense very much because they get the ball out so quick. And even to the extent that you do need to pressure them, it's the worst, a bottom 5 offensive line. So, maybe bottom 10. Adding a second competent offensive lineman actually is important.
Even if they're able to kind of run an ideal offense for them, it's a lot of screens, a couple of deep shots. I don't see how they keep up with the Bucs scoring, though.
No, I know. I think that what the market is missing is just that the Commanders have a lot of excitement and name power. Like, they have Bobby Wagner. Yeah, but he sucks. He's not Bobby Wagner anymore. They have Dan Quinn. Yeah, but he has no players, and you can't just scheme up a defense the way you can an offense. They have Jaden Daniels. Yeah, turns out some dude named Garrett Nussmeier is actually better than him in the same offense without Malik Neighbors. There's a lot of brand recognition for the Commanders, and the Commanders did a really good job this summer of everything they did. They put a lot of intentionality and hype behind. Jaden Daniels was never questioned as the starting quarterback. You only heard positive reports in the national media, despite the fact that local media said, this guy is kind of struggling a little bit here. They've been trying to put a positive spin on everything, and they've been signing big names. They got household names as coaches. It's just none of it is worth what they paid. None of it is worth the price of admission. And then meanwhile, the Buccaneers, just nobody cares, and Baker Mayfield will eternally be underrated, and not Raheem Morris. God damn it, I did it again. Todd Bowles will matter less than ever because he has even less control over the offense than he did a year ago.
Which is good for the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why if this number sits at 3,
it will. No, it won't. It might. The money is currently on the Commanders, and this number has been coming down. It started as Bucks -4, and it's all the way down to Bucks -3. It might move down to 3, like a solid 3. It's currently shaded, so it looks like the contest line is currently going to be 3.5. Fuck it. I'll take 3.5.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if it's 3, I could entertain a bigger bet, but I feel like it's gonna be 3.5.
It's also in Tampa.
Gonna be hot.
Tampa on a Sunday in early September is gonna be fucking hot. One of these teams has been practicing in it all summer. One of these teams, not as much.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna act like DMV area is pleasant during the summer. It gets nice and swampy there, but it's not Florida.
Wrong one. Correct one.
There it is.
All right. So we definitely have Tampa -3, and we definitely have Tennessee +4. We also definitely have Houston -3. So we have 3 for sure, and then like 4 more maybes.
Still have 3 games to talk about.
Yep. Last game in the afternoon slot, Tom Brady's debut.
I like that. Sunday night football, the first of the year. The Los Angeles Rams are going up to Detroit to play the Detroit Lions. The Lions are -3.5.
Somebody hold me back.
I know you want to do it so bad.
Somebody fucking hold me back. Somebody remind me that you have to defense matters a little. Somebody remind me that defense matters at all. Fuck, neither of these teams might have one. The difference is that the Lions secondary sucks despite big investment, but it does have a great defensive line in front of it. Whereas the Rams just want to get Matthew Stafford the ball back as quickly as possible, I guess. I don't know. I think the Rams offense might be the best in the league this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be pretty fucking good.
But they really freaked me out because, like, why the hell is Steve Avila playing left guard while Jonah Jackson plays center? That should be flipped. And it was supposed to be flipped all summer. Also, the Rams are going to be without their starting left tackle, Alaric Jackson. He's suspended. He did something he shouldn't have, I think. Typically, that's why he gets suspended.
I was about to say, as opposed to...
And then Bobby Havenstein is hurt for the first 2 weeks, I believe. So the Rams are going to be without their starting edges facing off against Aiden Hutchinson. There are better times to be missing your defensive or your offensive tackles than when you're facing a top 5 defensive end. That being said, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and even Jordan Winnington are going to be open all goddamn day because I don't think a single one of these defensive cornerbacks, as opposed to offensive cornerbacks, are good. Not even like really good, but like I don't think any of them are good. I think Carlton Davis sucks. He's putrid. I think that Terrion Arnold will be a good safety in 3 years, but not a starting cornerback, certainly not as a rookie. He's one of those guys where they were like, very similar to Kyler Gordon, where everybody's like, oh, he's just such a good athlete. He's going to be a really good player. And then he's not a good athlete. He's actually kind of a subpar athlete. He's just
the Lions love that. Between him and Jeff Okudah.
Oh, yeah. Remember when they did it with Teez Tabor as well? The slowest corner in the history of the NFL? Different regime, but still, here we are. Amik Robertson's actually decent, but he's not going to hold up with Cooper Kupp. Again, Cooper Kupp. Remember when everybody thought I was crazy because I said Cooper Kupp was a B-plus receiver and he won the Triple Crown and I maintained what I said? And I said, he's Jacoby. He just keeps on getting fed. It's not because he's good. It's because he's all they got and he eats breakfast with Stafford. And then, I was right and nobody apologized again. I'll take the money. I think that the Rams are going to score 30. I just think that it's very plausible that the Lions score 35.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to bet on this game.
God, I will, though, because it's going to be a standalone game, and I'm going to have made like $40,000 during the day, knock on some wood. I'm going to get cocky, and I'm going to eat some Woodies, and I'm going to say, who cares about $1,000?
What are you going to eat?
I'm going to eat chicken wings from an establishment called Woody's. I'm going to suck on some penis and watch football. No, I don't do that. But if you do, congratulations. I think that Jameson Williams is going to explode this year. I really do. I think he'll overtake Amon-Ra St. Brown as the wide receiver 1 at some point. The only worry I have at all is that he might gamble again, or Jared Goff might be actually physically unable to throw the ball outside the hash marks. By the way, I saw Jared Goff's high school yesterday. Beautiful.
Does not surprise me.
It's in a place called Greenbrae. My goodness. all Green Bay is a very pretty 4-lane street and then a remarkably decadent Catholic high school and corresponding elementary school. And they have a lot of banners from when Jared went there.
That would make sense.
Yeah. What is there to say about the Rams defense that isn't to be said about Oxygen? We know it's there. We just don't really see it. I like Fisk and Verse. I think they will one day be a nice tandem for this Rams defense as rookies. I don't know. Going against the best offensive line in the NFL, I think I actually do know, and it's not what they want to hear. The rest of the defense is not good. No, I take it back. I do like Kobe Turner. He's one-dimensional. Like, he's only a pass rusher. He is a pure 3-tech, and he's even light for a 3-tech. But Tre'Davious White's not himself anymore. Darius Williams is a fraud. He's a PFF merchant. I think he dates somebody over there's sister, and they just toss him nice grades all the time, and he doesn't do anything to get him. I just think Ben Johnson's going to cook up this D.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, all offseason to prepare. Yeah. Big mismatch in the line. Really, the entire offense mismatches. It's just Goff that is limited, but
I know we don't bet overs, but that might be a nice over.
Yeah, I wonder what that number is.
We don't bet overs to such an extent that I don't even know. 51. Yeah, I'm gonna bet that over. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna win a ton of money in the regular part of the day, and then I'm going to bet the over and eat chicken wings from Woody's as opposed to penis, which is also acceptable if you're into that sort of thing, but I'm not.
Watch this game end up being like 10-7.
Well, I'll still have wings. Monday night.
And on to Monday night.
Hey, guess
the
what?
first Monday night game of the year.
Fucking steak, baby. Yeah. The ribeye, mashed potatoes.
Breathe it in.
Beans. Yeah, baby.
It's lovely. We'll have so many of them.
Yeah.
But none will be like the first.
Baby, fuck. This is what to make of your Monday. Fuck.
This is how you make your Monday.
It's what makes it your day. Make it a happy one. Fuck, man. Fucking steak, baby. Yeah. Fucking Monday.
Fucking Monday.
Fucking Monday.
Who do we got?
Yeah, fucking Monday, baby. Fucking Monday. Steak, baby. Fucking Monday. Fuck.
It doesn't.
All right.
It goes on so long.
Yeah.
This man is committed to the bit.
Who's playing? Who's playing?
On Monday Night Football, we have the New York Jets going to play the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are -4.
Speaking of eating Woodies, will Aaron Rodgers play in the NFL longer this year than our intro sound clip?
I think probably yes.
Will he be good?
Less sure.
I'm not going to say what I want to say, but I want to say it.
Say it, Joe. It's week one.
I think Aaron Rodgers might stink, but I don't want to bet on it. And the 49ers have just had a lot of drama and BS circling them this season, or this offseason, rather.
Yeah, I mean, like, two of their best players, and Trent Williams and Ayuk, have both been signed in, like, the last week. I mean, they were on the team, but they weren't playing.
Yeah, I think we've kind of got a battle of good teams who have been deemed contenders but shouldn't be simply because last year the NFL was kind of weak.
I mean, I get it for the 49ers because they're similar to like Cleveland and Philly in that if they had a legitimately good quarterback, they immediately become a Super Bowl favorite.
What do you mean? Brock Purdy's going to make $60 million a year. PFF says he's the sixth best quarterback in the NFL. What do you mean?
There are a lot of people that make $55 million a year that shouldn't make $20 million a year.
Basically,
also playing that position.
All of them.
So I don't think the money means a thing.
Here's a fun thought exercise. Go look up the top 10 largest cap hits in the NFL amongst quarterbacks in 2024. It's like 9 bad quarterbacks. Yeah, the 49ers offensive line it's bad aside from the ancient Trent Williams, who is also the ageless Trent Williams, who is also the destroyer of worlds and defensive fronts. It doesn't matter because Kyle Shanahan uses him like a weapon. He's the only offensive coordinator I've ever seen, or offensive play designer I've ever seen utilize an offensive tackle like a weapon. Typically offensive lines are about how many holes are in this net rather than how sharp is this edge. But Shanahan just basically he designs his runs around how do I get Trent out in front of the running back. And it works, despite the fact that Trent is ancient and had cancer and doesn't practice in the offseason. You can't stop him. And therefore you can't stop their running game with the best running back in the NFL. They have the best blocking tight end. Hell, I think George Kittle could start at right tackle for them, and I'm not exaggerating at all. And then the Jets defense, I feel like it gets too many flowers. Like, what about it? We're looking at the depth chart right now. What about it excites you a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did this when we did the offseason preview of.
We did.
I was a little surprised because I came in kind of going like, all right, yeah, they've got an elite defense. They've got Sauce Gardner. They've got Quinnen Williams. They've got some good linebackers. But then when we actually looked at it, it's kind of like it's Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. I mean, CJ Mosley's all right. Quincy Williams is solid. But like they don't really have many difference makers outside of those guys.
Yeah, no, I don't love the Jets defense. I think it's good. I don't know. It might be the best in the NFL right now, but that's more about the state of defenses in the NFL than it is about the Jets being some Legion of Boom caliber defense. And you flip to the other side of the ball. Let's say that I'm directionally correct and Aaron Rodgers is mid this year, which is a huge upgrade from what the Jets had last year and would probably be enough to make them a playoff contender, if not a playoff team. You still got an ancient Tyron Smith and an ancient Morgan Moses going against Nick Bosa. You still have a very weak center guard combo in Tippmann and Simpson against Vernon Hargrave, against Malik Collins. I think Garrett Wilson's a little overrated, and I think Trevarius Ward is a little not overrated. And then Mike Williams, he might play fewer snaps than Rodgers did last year, but even if he plays, he's just a jump ball guy. He can't run a route. He's not fast. Breece Hall's great, but he's a running back, and you're playing against one of the stout front sevens in the league. I certainly don't want to bet on the Jets because I can see a world where they just get fucking thwarted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to bet on a 49ers team that's going through crazy turmoil. They just had a fucking teammate get shot in the chest. Stay out of San Francisco, folks. It sucks. I don't like it. I hope Stalin's listening to this so she can hear me bitch about San Francisco. Yesterday, it was very funny. She was like, why don't you want to do any of the things that we have to do here? I was like, because I don't like it here. Let's go to Chicago where it's nice and warmer and there's sun. You know, there's no sun in San Francisco.
Yeah, you told me about that it's just like always 50 to 60 and gray.
Yeah, it's like Seattle, but there's more of it.
But in California.
Oh, okay. This game just doesn't really pull me in any direction. If I had to bet, I lean 49ers, but like I said, they're going through so much shit.
Yeah, I definitely would like the 49ers. I worry about, all the chaos they've had, but it kind of feels like they have chaos every offseason. They had chaos last offseason.
Oh, true.
Debo did the exact same thing.
Here's what's going to really happen. I agree with you. And come Monday night, once I've won all those bets on Sunday, and I've won my over on Lions Rams that I shouldn't bet, but I'm drinking and I'm at Woody's, I will probably throw some money on 49ers -4 for funsies, and I'll probably sweat it out, and I think I'll probably win.
Yeah.
And it'll set a terrible precedent that certainly costs me money in the long run. But I think that is the right side.
Yeah.
Not a contest bet. But.
No. I mean, I like the 49ers. If you made me pick one, I would take the 49ers, and I wouldn't feel terrible about it. Like, there are a lot of these where if you made me pick one, I'd kind of be like, I guess, but I don't like it. 49ers, if I had to pick it, I'd be all right with it. I think they're a better team. They're more cohesive as a team just because it's a lot of the same guys at the key positions. And you have Kyle Shanahan. But the Jets definitely still have the pieces, and the 49ers have Brock Purdy at quarterback and a revolving door of contract issues.
All right. Is it time to wrap it up and figure out what our 5 bets are?
Let's wrap it up. All right. So the 3 that we have locked in are best bet Tennessee +4 over Chicago. We have Houston -2.5 at Indianapolis. And then we have Tampa Bay -3 hosting the Commanders. Now, left on our list, so we got to fill out 2 teams. We have Kansas City -3 hosting Baltimore. Philly -2 hosting Green Bay. Atlanta -3 hosting Pittsburgh. Minnesota -1.5 at the Giants.
I want that one.
And then Rams +3.5 at Detroit.
As much as I love the Rams, it can't be the one.
No, I think that one I definitely don't want to do.
All right. Tennessee is going to be our best bet.
Right.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. I want Minnesota. That's my second favorite bet.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't love being a road favorite, but I just don't think the Giants are very good. And
Sam Darnold sucks, and he doesn't totally suck.
Granted, Dable's calling the plays, but I don't hate it. And I don't know if I feel more strongly about any of the other games.
We know we need Houston, Indy. We love Houston.
Right.
We don't love the number, but we love Houston. We really like Tampa at 3.5. Do we take Tampa at 3.5?
I think so, because I still like 3.5 better than like Atlanta 3.5 against Pittsburgh.
I agree.
Or Philly 2.5. Just because I think
simplest terms, Tampa and Atlanta are similar. Washington is not as good as Pittsburgh.
Right. This is what I was going to say is we've talked about like that tier difference. I think Atlanta and Pittsburgh might be in different tiers, but Tampa and Washington definitely are.
Yeah.
And then the other two games we have to pick are both good teams playing each other.
I'm down to Kansas City and Philadelphia as the last included. I have terrible luck betting on these first games of the year, but that's voodoo bullshit that I don't care about. Do we go Eagles because we get the better number, or do we go Chiefs because, God damn it, all they do is beat the Ravens? And we get Andy Reid we get Andy Reid off a bye.
I think I like the Chiefs more.
Lock it in.
Cool. Now we get to bet on the first game of the year.
Our week 1 contest entry picks. Kansas City over Baltimore -3. Minnesota -1.5 over Giants. Tennessee +4 over Chicago. Double cha-ching. That's a best bet. Houston -3 over Indy. We're praying it doesn't hit 3.5. Tampa over Washington. We would prefer it doesn't hit 3.5, but if it does, we'll live. Our teaser for the pod is going to be Cincy and Buffalo. And that's a fun one because you don't have to tease it all the way 6 points. You could take that to -3 on each of them and parlay it and probably get -115.
Yeah, you'll get good odds if you take both those to 3, and I still feel very good about it.
Yep. And then I kind of want to do like a fuck it bonus bet on Philly over Green Bay in honor of the Bird Watcher.
I'd be fine with that. I was going to say I'd feel bad if you said we liked the matchup to this week and then just kind of went, never mind. We got to ride with our boy a little bit.
Also, I have real money on it, so if and when I go watch that with him, it'll be fun because I'm almost always betting against him. We can finally be aligned.
Yeah, that'll be nice, even though you're still going to talk shit about Jalen Hurts the whole time.
I'm going to talk shit about Jalen Hurts. I'm going to talk shit about Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to say everybody behind your center is doo-doo, but A.J. Brown did trend. And that's the difference. The entire NFL is different because A.J. Brown did trend. There's a world out there where A.J. Brown is still a 6-foot, 190-pound slot receiver, and everything is different.
Yeah. Now, granted, if the Eagles lose, that's going to be the most toxic environment because you're going to be pissed about losing a Friday night game. It's the only game on, and he's going to be pissed about the team losing. And
I'm going to be sitting here scratching my fucking neck because I can't wait for the Sunday games.
Exactly.
Saturday games aren't actionable because I was in fucking California when the lines came out, so I didn't get to bet on Texas over Michigan. Texas over Michigan was -3.5. Now it's 7.5. All it took was me flying to a place where gambling is legal for that to fucking happen. I didn't get down and I'm angry. I don't like it. So, the moral of the story is Joe does not like California, especially the northern half of it. Really anything north of Santa Barbara. Also, college football is not real because it's not even very actionable. And also, we like Kansas City, we like Minnesota, we love Tennessee, we like Houston, we like Tampa, and we kind of like Philly. Go Birds.
We kind of like Atlanta, too.
We kind of like Atlanta, but 3.5 is kind of a prohibitive number, which is why you should pay for the Patreon so that Alex has a bankroll to bet with, and you could get Atlanta at -3 when it was even odds.
Everybody wins.
Speaking of which, I got to send you that. So, for the first time, but not the last time, but holy shit, are we excited. We have 2024 Super Contest bets. And while we don't really have film to grind just yet, it's about that time. If you're ever going to do it, please bet on football games. Asta.